Hi guys, thanks for watching. This is Kristen. I'd like to talk about my second time experiencing anxiety, depression and depersonalization. If you've managed to check out part 1, I talk about when it happened to me the first time. And the second time this happened to me, it was in some ways worse, in some ways better. I had been there before, so I did know what was happening to my body and in my mind. But in some ways worse, because I did experience some things that I didn't the first time, and they were just as bad. So what happened this time seemed very out of the blue. So when I recovered the first time in 2012, I felt so confident. I was filled with joy, filled with gratitude, because once you've been through such a terrible experience, your view on life changes. And I had done a lot. I went to America twice in 2014, once to perform and once just on a holiday. I had met some great friends. I had some great relationships. I was just buzzing. Like, the breakdown actually helped me to live a more fulfilling life. So then when this hit me again at the start of 2015, I was just like, what happened? I had done a lot of good things for myself prior. I remember meditating every day for a month before I was depressed again, eating better, exercising, a lot of self-help stuff, like I was believing in the law of attraction and trying to attract all these things into my life, and yeah, all these things that would be quite, could be quite helpful to somebody. So all of a sudden I found myself at work and a thought came into my head, because I was doing all this law of attraction stuff, and I thought, hang on, when something doesn't go right, usually what I say is it wasn't meant to happen, or I usually feel protected, that somebody's sort of up there protecting me or looking down on me. That sort of belief sort of helps me when things aren't going right. But then I thought, hang on, I found myself in that confusion of fate versus you're in control of everything. So can you actually control everything that happens in your life, or is someone or something actually controlling your fate, I guess? And usually I would just think that thought and just, yeah, whatever, brush it off. But I seemed to get sort of obsessed with that thought, and it just kept playing in my mind. I felt disappointed because I felt like I didn't have a strong belief system. And you might think, yeah, but okay, well, why is that so distressing? It's not really, but it was just a trigger to send me off into depression again. I don't know why, I don't know how, but everything spiraled from there. So I just felt this dark, sad feeling. My vision actually changed. I couldn't see things clearly. It was fuzzy, almost like I don't know how to describe it, just fuzzy, foggy, and like a grey filter on top, because you just can't see clearly, or anything, nothing's bright. So it started with that, and then I thought, oh my god, what's happening to me? How can this happen again? Am I going through that hell again? And that set me off into anxiety. And this time around, the anxiety wasn't as bad as the first time. I wasn't in a constant state of, my heart racing all the time, lump in my throat, can't eat. But I did lose my appetite for quite a while, although not as much as the first time. This time around, it was more depression, I'd say, whereas the first time was depression from anxiety. There was a lot of anxiety the first time, and this time it was more depression. Everything just spiraled. I don't know why, and because I had sort of had these feelings before, I knew that I needed help, so I got help straight away. And what I experienced this time was so feeling really hopeless, like what had happened to me, I've lost my life again. I stayed in bed, I couldn't actually get out of bed, I wasn't able to work, and once again I had to be almost taken care of because I couldn't function properly. And unfortunately, I felt suicidal this time around more than the first time, because I just couldn't. Yeah, it's what the depression does to you. So if you're feeling like there's no way out, you're going to be like this forever and your life is over, they're all things that you feel when you're feeling depressed. So it's not your normal self. You're going through depression and you can't see life normally. Anything that once gave me joy didn't give me any joy now. And I just thought, yeah, again, it's that thing of not feeling like you'll ever get better. I also had very intrusive thoughts this time around, very scary thoughts that I wouldn't think, but you know, when random thoughts pop into your head, you usually just, you know, shrug them off and just move on. But I would get very obsessed with particular thoughts where they would stay in my head all day, every day. Some bad, some not so bad, some just random, some weird, and obsessing about them where I couldn't focus on other things. So if you've experienced that, I know how horrible that is. That's one of the worst things. I did recover from this. The anxiety was the first thing to get better. The depression eventually passed, and the depersonalization, which again was the last thing to come before I recovered, that was very severe and very uncomfortable. So if you're feeling like a bit like you're in a dream, like you're watching yourself from an outsider in your actions and everything you say, and it feels weird and uncomfortable, that's depersonalization, or could be. And derealization is very similar to that, when you think things aren't real. I didn't experience that, but I do know sort of what that's like, because I feel like I used to have that as a child here and there after a panic attack. But yeah, all these things are symptoms of anxiety, depression, or they can be. So I think you can experience depersonalization, realization without having anxiety, but it's very common that it's linked. And again, I did recover from this, and it took only 2 months this time. Last time was 5. So I'm hopeful that if this ever happens, I can remember this and that it'll be much shorter again. And I feel confident that that was the last time. I'll be okay now. That's how I feel. And I want you to know that you will as well. Everything's going to be okay. And I hope to help you through this. Leave me a comment if you have any questions or want to speak about anything. And if you're suffering, yeah, I'm sorry that you are. But thank you for watching, and I hope that this helps.